Bizarre Brain Comics. Oh, whoa, whoa there, Nightmare. Oh, good horse. Go ahead. Go on and have some hay over there, huh? Yeehaw! Yeehaw! Howdy, howdy folks. This here is the Trigger Kid with you once again. I didn't think you'd be seeing me again so soon, did you? And I'm here for Bizarre Brain Comics, where I tell you tales of the Wild West that never was. Got my friend the Lone Ranger here. This time, I want to tell you a little bit about this book right here. This is Roy Rogers and Trigger. Yeah, his horse got second billing. This is number 30 from 1959. From Dell Comics. And of course, Roy Rogers, the famous singing cowboy, and his equally famous Golden Palomino Trigger. He had several triggers over the years, you know. I think he had a total of 4. I'm not sure on that. But we're going to take a look here in the Old West with Roy Rogers and Trigger. And here you can see, this is a fairly rough copy. It's in decent shape, but not much of a collector's copy. It's a good reader copy though. It's whole. It's total intact. This is Roy Rogers and Trigger, number 130, 1959, Dell Comics. And Roy Rogers, from 1911 to 1998. He was born Leonard Franklin Sly. He was an American actor, singer, and TV star. And he was one of the founders of the Sons of the Pioneer, a country and western cowboy singing group. And he, adopting the name Roy Rogers, he acquired fame as a popular singing cowboy known as the King of the Cowboys. And he appeared in over 100 movies and starred in a TV series with his wife Dale Evans, made many radio and TV appearances, often on the Grand Ole Opry. He did have a radio show himself too. The Grand Ole Opry. That's when I was a kid. That's the only place I ever saw him. I never got to see any of his movies until I was an adult because I lived out in BFE, and we had like a channel and a half. And so I never got to see Roy Rogers. I only knew him from his singing appearances on the Grand Ole Opry, and hearing the folks talk about him. So my dad was a big Roy Rogers fan. And one of his last acting roles was on the Wonder Woman TV show. Yeah, so it would have been, 77, I think it was. Probably 77, 78. He started his acting career in the films of fellow singing cowboy Gene Autry. And he is known, as you can see here, for his overly flamboyant shirts, the bright colors and intricate embroidery. And had he lived in the Old West and worn those shirts out in the street, he would have been laughed off the street. But he became so well known for that stuff. In the comics, this comic series ran from 1948 to 1961 for a total of 145 issues. And his wife, Dale Evans, also had a comic series, and I think it ran for, I think it said about somewhere in the neighborhood of 95 issues. So they both had good long runs, and they both appeared in each other's comics. And of course, this here has Roy Rogers and Trigger. Trigger also, of course, Roy was writing Trigger, but Trigger also in this title appears in his own solo stories. And you might wonder, how can a horse have his own stories? Well, you never can tell. And these books had several creators over those years. A frequent artist was Irwin Hess, among others, and I don't know who drew. I think this has got at least 2 artists in here, and of course there's no billing, and I could not find any reference to the who wrote and drew this book. And had many frequent writers, such as Gaylord Dubois, among a bunch of others. Of course, Gaylord Dubois is better known for his all his many years of writing Tarzan comics and the like for Dell and later Gold Key. So let's take a little look inside Roy Rogers and Trigger. But first I want to give you a little reminder. Use my email address right here, or leave a comment down below with your email address. And if you so desire and want to help support my channel, you can get your own character cards. These are 5-inch by 8-inch cards, original pieces of artwork. As you can see, my version of Roy right there. Comic book characters, comic strip characters, cartoon characters, and the like. And for a reasonable price, an original, unique piece of artwork. Even original characters if you so desire. And don't forget, I can also do your characters, the characters you want, in a manner in which the publishers might not appreciate. And there, now you can get a better look at that cover photograph. And most of the Roy Rogers comics had photo covers rather than the painted covers that they were better known for. But a lot of their tie-in books used photo covers. Now this is, of course, Roy Rogers, and he was mostly big with kids, and so the stories were more juvenile, had less violence and less intricate storylines. And of course, this was the short form storytelling, as opposed to the Gunhawks, which I covered last time. And a lot of these movie cowboys had comic books from various publishers dedicated to them. Have a little look in here. Roy Rogers in Outlaw Trap, and in the comic, his shirts aren't quite so flamboyant because that's a lot of detail to try to draw. Roy has been being called to this town by his friend, who is the new sheriff of this town. He's on his way there, and it looks like he's being bushwhacked. These are deputies. They're capturing him, and they're calling him Roaring Rogers from Kansas. He's a desperate outlaw. And he goes, no, take me to the sheriff. Oh, you'll see the sheriff pretty soon. And they parade him through town, and they're hooping and hollering just outright. So, we got him. We got Roaring Rogers, the outlaw. Impressing the townspeople. And And the sheriff also makes a big deal. He says, "Yeah, we finally got you. Now take him inside in jail." And there's the sheriff explaining everything to everybody out there, just who this Roaring Rogers is supposed to be. Then they comes back inside. You see Roy in jail, and then he explains, "Sorry to do that to you, Roy, but I need your help. There's a bunch of outlaws. We think they're staying at such and such a ranch, and I know they've been doing all kinds of stuff. We can't be sure. We can't pin them on them. So basically, Roy's got to go undercover, and they've just established his identity as this Roaring Rogers." And Roy agrees to help, and so they stage a jailbreak for that night, and Roy rides out to the ranch where these outlaws are supposedly holed up, and the lookout stops him and he says, take me to so and so, and explains that he just broke jail. They take him back, and they provisionally allow him to join them when they hear his story, and they get the handcuffs off him, and which is a little extra convincing. Then the sheriff comes out there and says, so and so broke jail. I think he might be holed up out here on your ranch. And there's the ranch owner who's got a grudge against the law for some reason. He says, "My boys will do the searching. They'll catch him if he's around. No lawman steps on my land, so ride out fast, Sheriff." But then we see, he agrees, but then we see that the head man of the outlaw band was actually holding a gun on him. And his shotgun wasn't loaded. Had made him, forcing him against his will. He's basically a prisoner. Roy sees that, and he comes up with a scheme, because they're going to go rob a gold shipment. He says, tell the sheriff you flushed me out of hiding, but I got away, headed south. Take him my hat, which is full of bullet holes, and that'll prove it to him." Said, "Hey, that's plenty smart, Rogers." And he secretly writes a note and stuffs it into the hat. Gives the hat to the guy, and he goes in and rides into town. And then they head off to do the robbing. They've got their bandanas over their face and like. There's the stage. They've got an inside man at the express office knowing about this stuff, saying that the first stage is a ruse. The gold is actually coming behind a few minutes later, and a second stage. So they let that first stage go by, and then here they are on their going to rob that stage, and thing opens up, and it's full of deputies with guns, and they got the drop on them, and the guy's going to try to shoot it out, and Roy stops him, and they're all captured. Then they get the guy from the express office, who was their collaborator, and everything's well. The ranch owner is made up with the lawmen. Said, "Thanks a lot for helping me out." Yada yada yada. "Thanks, Roy. Oh, all's well." And then, "Happy trails to you until we meet again." Yeah, that's Roy's my poor rendition of Roy Rogers' signature song. Okay, and then I have a war party. I'm not going to cover this. This is just your generic Western story. Roy doesn't appear in it. And then we have a 4-page solo story of Trigger, followed by another Roy Rogers story. Not real big on characterization, character development, and even a little bit lame on the action. But there are some interesting stories. And of course, the 50s, the art style was not nearly as dynamic as what we later become used to. But the visual storytelling is nicely done. This artist has a bit of an organic style to it, which lends itself very well to Western material. And there, we've got little bits and things in here. And there, yeah, the ads. Kraft Candies, ad on the back. Cool. Roy, Rogers, and Trigger. That's what I've got for you this time. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Are you a Roy Rogers fan? Do you have someone in your family who is a Roy Rogers fan? They might appreciate seeing this. I enjoy Roy Rogers. It's very simple storytelling. Very plain and simple. Nothing outrageous. Some nice music once in a while in the movies. He usually had a goofy sidekick such as Gabby Hayes. Had various other ones over the years. Gabby Hayes is interesting. His name is George Hayes. I guess he even had his own comic title, which I have never seen, so I would like to. And but the thing is, George Hayes, who had the character Gabby Hayes, he was always the sidekick as Gabby. But sometimes in other movies, when he just uses his name George Hayes, he was a heavy. He was often a heavy. But he'd pull his teeth out and grow out his beard, and then he'd be Gabby Hayes. If he needed something else, he'd shave his beard off, put his teeth back in, and he's often a bad guy. And he'd stand up straight. So, yeah, just Western fun. So thank you for joining me. And remember, comics are art.